Welcome to Southaven Business Beat. Business and community leaders talk with us to provide invaluable resources to aid the business community.
Southaven Business Beat is sponsored by Wisdom Integrators.
Hey business owners, when's the last time your tech actually worked for you? At Wisdom Integrators in Southaven, we help businesses like yours run smoother, look sharper, and reach farther. From dependable IT support and secure networks to custom websites that convert, and video systems that actually work when you need them. No cookie cutter fixes, no long waits, just smart, reliable solutions that grow with your business. Whether you're launching, scaling, or just tired of doing it all yourself, Wisdom Integrators is your behind-the-scenes tech partner so you can focus on running your business, not chasing down IT problems. Call 901-625-0900 or visit wisdomintegrators.com to schedule a free consult today. Wisdom Integrators. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom.
And now here's your host, Robbie Yates.
All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode. My name is Robbie. For Southaven Beats, we have Leonard Cochran, the executive director of Leah's House, and we're looking forward to diving in and learning more about Leah's House. And I know it's a program that actually it's for women.
Yes.
We'll dive into that, but I'm just curious out the gate. I'm sure you mentioned it off air, like how does a man get this role and how does that happen? So if you don't mind, kind of touch on that if you don't mind.
Yeah. No, and my wife's glad to have me explain that.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So, my wife volunteered at a women's home about 9 years ago, and she got the bug. And so that was one of the first times in our married life that she came home and just had that kind of glimmer in her eye that she had a passion and wanted to do something. Mm-hmm. And she's always kind of followed me and whatever I've done and kind of been the number two, unfortunately, for her. And she came home and said, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I'm going to get behind her and support her. Yeah. And so the way it came into be with Leah's House is some years after her volunteering, both she and I came to Leah's House to sit on the board there. They had moved to Leah's House, moved to DeSoto County. And both she and I sat on the board. And once we got on the board, served a couple of years, that's how it actually transitioned to us. A little deeper story there. But that's what brings me in. So I'm kind of the nerd side of it, and she does the day-to-day with the women. Okay. So
Yeah, I respect that. And it's for people that don't know, Leah's House, it's a 12-month biblically based residential restoration home?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So we get, that's correct. So they do live there for 12 months. We rent a home in DeSoto County. The women live there. Ideally, they go through the program. Nobody is forced to stay. Sure. But they're there for 12 months and biblically based. My wife focuses on body, soul, and spirit. So it's all three areas of a person's life. Yep. And we try and help them get set up to recover from whatever the past was. Some's addiction, some are out of prison, some it's just severe trauma. Sure. And so give them the tools to kind of recover from that and move forward and get them back into the working world and be productive members of society by the time they end, if all goes well. It's a short window, 12 months.
Yeah, but I imagine it goes fast. I know some programs out there, it's only for 1 month, but y'all do it for 12 months. And I like that. And then, like you said, they're not tied to it. If they need to leave or if they feel like whatever might not be a fit. But have you seen that through the transition of somebody day one versus day 365?
Yeah, sure. So what makes us a little unique is we're 100% volunteer. So we don't have a medical staff or anything there. So we do require the women coming in to, if they have an addiction, we do require them to detox for at least 30 days prior to coming in. Yep. And then the bar is kind of high to come in. It's a residential program and they vary. But with us, we require the women cannot have a phone. Now, they're allowed to make phone calls to save people, but they can't have their own phone. They cannot have their own car. Or if they do, it's got to be parked. Yeah. And so they can focus on the recovery itself. Yeah. And so typically, they'll go through a lot of the book learning and a lot of the focus on the front end for the first few months. Yeah. And then normally about 6 months in, that's when, if they're ready, and typically they are, but if they're ready, that's when they begin to work. Yep. And so at that point, they get a phone, they get a job, obviously money coming in. So at that point, they need training for their finances. Yep. And then as they do that, then it's more and more preparation. If they have fines to be paid off and things like that, they work through that. Yeah. And then hopefully launch around 12 months or 13 months, somewhere in there kind of thing.
Okay. I really like that aspect of it, but for a woman to do that, that's a lot of courage.
It is.
And a massive commitment to do that.
It is.
But it's a courageous effort to want to overcome whatever they're going and to get in there. I mean, I imagine it's a very delicate process in the very beginning of it.
Yeah, well, they find out real quick whether they want to stay or not. And the beautiful thing is we've learned. My wife and I have been in charge of Leah's house for almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years now. Mm-hmm. And what we've learned, it's not a one size fits all, and we've learned to embrace that and accept it. So there are programs that, if we're not a good fit, let's find a place that is. Yeah. And so we can help them find another place. But it's a lot of courage to come in. We're also smoke free. Mm-hmm. And so some people just don't want to give up cigarettes either, Yeah. And so, but if you want to fully recover, we find that those are the ones that are going to succeed the most. And there's certainly an element of willpower. And then from us, with faith-based, of course, we believe that God, Christ helps them in the recovery process as well. But they do have to be willing to pay that price. And that helps kind of filter on the front end, but also that helps them be more successful in the program too, because they've had the courage to make that choice. Yeah, absolutely. And then when they're going through the process, do they have, is it different sponsors during the program? Are they assigned with one person to kind of collaborate and kind of help them through that? I know you mentioned about a book as well that they have. Yeah. So, we've got some different curricula that we use. So to real quickly jump to answer the question about sponsor, sure. We're technically not a 12-step type of a program. Okay. Although as a part of the program, typically the girls will go to Celebrate Recovery, which is kind of the Christian equivalency. It is a 12-step. Sure. But our primary focus, one of the big tools that we use, is a book that's called Keys to Freedom. It's from a ministry in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And so that walks them through essentially your fruit, your behavior, is a result of what your roots are. Yeah. And so they go and look at their roots, behavioral things of the past, not only them, but generationally in their family. Mm-hmm. They have to walk through that, what part they played in that, what part they need to forgive, what part, from a biblical Christian perspective, what did they need to play to avoid repeating those patterns? Mm-hmm. Because so oftentimes they get there out of just repeating patterns, right? Wrong decisions can keep going the wrong way. And so they have to create new neural pathways, the nerd side of it. We've got to create new ways of thinking. Mm-hmm. So Keys to Freedom is one of the big elements of it. And then what my wife's done with the home is, rather than it be an institution, it literally is more of a household. Yeah. So their support isn't so much from any one individual or sponsor, but it's building that community not only within the home, but the women attend church with us, and we encourage them to build relationship with other safe people, be it church or the volunteers that come in and that type of thing. Because we know, statistically, people in recovery, all of us for that matter, we've got to have a circle of friends that we can trust and reach out to. Yeah, absolutely. And so we need to expand that beyond just those old friends that maybe have the same hurts and habits, and then beyond just my wife or just beyond some of the volunteers, because once they're out, they're not in that program. They still need that support base. So let's help them build that in that safe community. Yeah, I like that. And then I love how you touched on the neurological aspect of it. I know that you have the book to it, but are there different things that y'all are doing through while they're going through the program to help kind of rewire that neurological? Because that's not an easy thing. And I can see why it's a 12-month program, but it's not something that happens, week one. Yeah. And you're totally right? So let's just assume that somebody's come in for addiction, which most of the women are, not all, but most are. So depending on what the drug of choice is, how long they've been using that drug, we know from, again, neuroscience perspective, it can be 6 months to even a year to get that cloudy mind taken care of. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, we're trying to fast track them through recovery and gaining the tools to get out. Yeah. So from one of the things, of course, just with any recovery is just kind of, AA talks about it as the first step is admitting there's a problem. Yeah. So recognizing that. And a real simple tool, I'll throw this out to the viewers and the listeners, is Google, what is my ACE score? So Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACE. 10 questions, you answer those, and the more yeses you have, the higher your propensity is for a shorter lifespan.
Oh, wow.
Now, that could come from suicide. That could come from just poor life choices. It could come from a neurological perspective because of trauma that has happened in your life.
Yep.
And Center for Disease Control has tons of information that just Google, what is my ACE score?
Yep.
And we see the women in our home, most all of them have 6 or higher out of 10.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you're a 7, you are, I'm going from memory here, but I think it's 1,000 more times do you have suicidal thoughts than somebody with a 1 or a 0. So that's the impact. Somebody having a felony in your home or somebody being abused in your home physically, some of those types of things can wreak havoc later in your life as you grow into adulthood.
Oh, wow. Well, I wanted to learn, you mentioned at the very beginning about the body, soul, and spirit aspect of it.
Yes.
We'll take a quick break, catch a word from our sponsors, and I'm going to dive into that as soon as we come back.
Absolutely.
Make your next event unforgettable with the Follow app. Connect instantly, stay organized, and never miss an opportunity. Ditch the business cards. Go digital with the Follow app. Network effectively, exchange contacts seamlessly, and grow your business. The Follow app, transforming the way professionals connect at events.
Every brand has a story. Let us help you tell yours. At Pure Focus Media, we specialize in professional video production, photography, and drone footage that elevates your message and captures attention. From real estate to events, we deliver content that connects. Visit www.purefocus.media to schedule your next shoot. Pure Focus Media, where your vision comes into focus.
Now back to Southaven Business Beat and host Robbie Yates.
All right, thank you for tuning back in and listening. I know right before we went to break, we talked about some fascinating things, but I also want to touch on the body, soul, and spirit aspect. And I have an idea of like what it encompasses, but I don't have the full understanding of it. You kind of dive into that. You can pick whichever one you want, but I'm just curious how that encompasses everything to really take care of these women.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we found is people that come into our program, they 99.9% have some kind of abusive background. And we're talking trauma, genuine trauma, not just, whatever. It's serious in the stories we could tell. So because of that, we know, and kind of nerd for just a moment here, we know that if a child's in development and something traumatic happens to them, their brain does not fully develop the way that yours or mine may. Those neural pathways, those connectors of how to put cognitive thinking together and make decisions, those are inhibited. And so because of that, a lot of times we'll see just whether it's a hygiene issue, just we'll start with body, just some simple things of whether it's hygiene. Some of the women have just poor practices with that, brushing their teeth, combing their hair, whatever it might be. Some of them never learned to properly do laundry, wash dishes, whatever. Okay. Those are simple tasks that we just assume anybody as an adult should know, and that's not a safe assumption. And so we do have, so some of the things with that is we have cooking classes that we've had some volunteers come in and teach the women how to cook. We've had, kind of under that is Cloud and Townsend wrote a book called Boundaries. And so it's kind of setting boundaries to know, hey, this is okay, this is not okay. So those are some of those. From the soul, so our soul is our mind, will, and emotion. And so a lot of that now is we have to change from kind of, a fun way to say it is our stinking thinking, some of those bad negative self-thinking that we have. Absolutely. We have to change to more positive thinking. So, of course, we do that from a scriptural perspective, but even just some common things is to, look at yourself and feel better about yourself, to know that you have some value, have some worth, those type of things. So there's a couple of books that we use there, for example, is Don't Give the Enemy a Seat at Your Table by Louis Giglio. Those are Christian book. Also, there's a Casey Van Norman wrote a book that's called Nothing Wasted, where we can use any circumstance in our life, or at least allow God to use any circumstance in our life to propel us forward. And then, of course, spiritual, that's kind of ingrained throughout, like I mentioned, Celebrate Recovery, going to church, those types of things. And so we just encourage the women in all of those areas. And then my wife's really good at customizing their needs as they go. So early on, they kind of have some of those foundational books and tools that I've mentioned. And then later on, maybe you're struggling with a little bit of an attitude there or a little bit of pride or something.
Yeah.
So she'll find a book or a tool or a resource to just kind of one-on-one coach them and counsel them with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot. And I love all that. And you mentioned on the soul aspect of it. And I feel like that negative aspect, that self loop and talk, that's something that it takes a lot of work to overcome, to have that. There's certain things you try to teach them to overcome. I know, yes, there's books and stuff, but it's also you have to put it into practice.
Yeah.
And other things, certain things that you're having them do to catch that, to go, and I need to rephrase that. I need to, change my verbiage here to increase that. Have you seen that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So the easiest way, and we try and teach them this, the easiest way to change a habit is we have patterns in our life. And those patterns don't typically, if we have a trigger, that's when we're snapping, right? You know, whether it's a trigger to go back to drugs or a trigger where we get mad and punch a wall or whatever, those are triggers, right? Yeah. But there's something that builds to that trigger as well. And that's the part we kind of work backwards and have them think backwards. Okay, when did you begin to feel upset? When did you begin to start feeling distant? Or when did you begin to feel those emotions, negative emotions? Yeah. Then what can you do to stop it there instead of carrying that negative emotion forward until you explode or until you make a poor decision?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's that rewiring that has to happen. Yeah. And it literally... a simple way to think of that. It is a neural pathway, but it's the same way, you and I as a kid rode a bicycle down a trail. Well, that trail has no grass. It's an easy pathway to follow. But when you make that new trail, that's some work. You maybe have some tree branches in your way. You've got some grass to work through. So it takes repeating those right decisions and then begin to build almost like a muscle. You're building that mental brain muscle and strengthening it.
Yeah, I know on the spiritual side of it, obviously you mentioned about them going to church, and I'm sure are there certain things that you require outside of church of, hey, is it prayer, meditation, kind of setting their thoughts, try to help kind of rewire, maybe spend 5-10 minutes? Is that, how does that look as well?
Yeah. Well, science shows us that anyone that meditates, whether it's biblically based meditation or just staring at a fuzzy navel meditating, any form of meditation helps us in our thinking. What it does, it gives us a chance to calm our minds, to relax, and just to focus on anything, just any one thing, or just to focus on resting for that matter. Yeah. And so from a biblical perspective, we do a lot through prayer. Yeah. And so we've got a tradition now where Thursday nights we'll have a prayer meeting at the house. I'll be there and a part of it where we just take some time to pray with one another and to pray as a group. If we have a Bible study, we have a Bible study, but just to help them build that time of their own prayer life, and in that, of course, in the reading, it's that contemplation and that meditation on the Word, and that helps build some identity in who I am. And for us, it's who I am in Christ and who He is in us. Yeah, and that helps kind of again wash away some of those negative thinking, some of those negative habits, and that as well. Yeah, absolutely. So Thursday, Bible study, Sunday, obviously going to church. Yes. So I imagine it's pretty regimented, try to stick to, a good schedule throughout the week. How does that kind of look in the day in the life at Leah's house? Yeah. So one of the things they love is Monday's sort of catch-up day where my wife touches base with the women, how you doing, what's going on, here's some things I see. Yeah. Tuesday is the big day because they have their art day. We've got an elderly lady that volunteers. She's an actual artist, and she comes in and does arts and crafts with the girls. So it really is therapy for them. Yeah. So that's kind of the highlight of that day. Oftentimes they'll go to Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday nights. And then Wednesday, I don't know specifically what on the schedule, but they'll work through that. So they do have, to your point, they do have kind of a little bit of a regimented schedule. Yeah. And the longer they're in the program, it gets a little more relaxed for them to kind of focus on their own areas. Yeah, absolutely. So it's not so rigid that it's like military-esque. Yep. But it is rigid enough to kind of keep them busy, keep them active, so they don't slip into some of those, just that negative thinking again. I know you said the majority of the women going in are battling and want to overcome their addiction. What other aspects of women are y'all have the open door policy for? Sure. Yeah. Well, any woman over the age of 18, we've encountered where one of the women came from an abusive home situation where she's an adult I taught 2 women how to drive. One was a 21-year-old, and
Yeah.
the other was 33 when I taught them how to drive.
Oh, nice.
So they come from abusive situations, whether it's relationship with a man or whether it's home life, that kind of a thing. Have dealt with some women that were homeless. We find oftentimes kind of our biggest success has been we've had a number of women recover from meth and using meth. We've not had prisons send them, although we've had prisons reach out, and it's up to the individual. They've chose to come. So we've had a few come from prison, so they get back on their feet from prison back to society. So they've had to deal with parole officers and dealing with fines. And so we kind of walk through that. In fact, we've got some real successes. This is a great time for this interview, so I can brag for just a second here.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this evening, we've got one of our graduates, while she was there, kind of post-COVID with the stimulus checks and whatnot. So she got some money that came in from that, some back child support. So within the year of living there, she paid off $6,000 in fines and bought an inexpensive car. And then she's been gone out of the program roughly a year now. She's continued to pay fines, another $6,000 now. And she's on drug court, so that means she's got to keep checking in, be drug-free, testing anytime. And so she's paid off in 2 years' time $12,000 worth of fine, buying a car, renting a place to stay, and we're going to her graduation tonight. She's graduating from the community college and
amazing.
Plans to continue her education. So that's a stellar example there. Another gal, she came in from prison, and she's our house mom. She's our resident assistant. So she lives there day and night to be with the women, especially overnight when my wife's not there. So she just hit her 6 years sobriety. She was in prison for 3 years. She's been with us for 3 years. So she's hit 6 years sobriety, been with us for 3 years now, and just looking to the future. She wants to pour herself into helping women moving forward.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
remarkable.
we do have some good success stories. At least.
I'm sure you got countless. Yeah, absolutely. Man, that is absolutely remarkable. And I got a lot of admiration and respect for a lot of women that are out there that want to, overcome that hurdle. And then, like I said before, it's that courage, taking that commitment, and then just being there for themselves in those moments to lean into Christ and into y'all to help them out. So a lot of respect for that. So if somebody will listen to this and they go, I want to be a part of that, how can I either help or be a part, and I need to, enroll myself and check in. So how can somebody do that? What's the best way to reach y'all?
Absolutely. Well, we do have our website, leahshouse.com. So LEAHS house.com, leahshouse.com. And our email is there. Our phone number, they can give us a call. And then so we can, whether somebody wants to volunteer to help, somebody interested in the program, we do like for the women that are needing our services, for them to be the contact. It's always great. We've got a concerned mom, a concerned family member. They reach out. Again, if that woman's not ready to reach out herself, unfortunately, they're not ready. And so they can reach out to us, though. We do have an application process. My wife will interview them. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour, kind of learn their background, and then see if they're a good fit, see if they feel they're a good fit.
How as a chamber, have you seen it kind of benefit, and how can we continue to benefit Leah's House?
So Leah's House, we've been a chamber member, I think it's about a year and a half now, Southaven. And it's really helped us as far as networking with some other folks and just kind of sharing who we are. One of the things with Leah's House or any program like that is just getting the word out into the community and making sure that people are aware. Obviously, donations and things like that are wonderful, but it's really just to meet the needs of people that have needs of our services. And so we've had folks that just reached out to us and contact us. And if we can't help folks, we're real good to refer folks to other places that maybe can help and find that right fit for them too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I respect that. You really kind of get your name out in the community because you never know who you can help and how they can help you. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like there's a woman out there hearing this and they'll listen to this and they go, I need to check myself in. I got to go. So there's a reason why they're listening to this, a reason why they're hearing this. And y'all do incredible work, especially for the, the mind, the body, the soul, spirit, everything encompasses all of it. So thank you so much for your time, Leonard. Thank you. I really appreciate what y'all are doing and just wish y'all continued success. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to share.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Southaven Business Beat. We would like to thank the following sponsor: Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we simplify tech solutions for your business. We specialize in customizing audio, video, and IT services tailored to your needs. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems. Would you like to be a sponsor of Southaven Business Beat? Please email us, info@southavenchamber.com. Be sure to share and subscribe for more business resources. Thanks for watching.